The moment you open your eyes this morning, the heavens were already watching to see what you would do next. Today is not an ordinary day. Today is a divine appointment. I did not come to motivate your emotions. I came to awaken your destiny, because what you do within the first moments of your morning will determine whether you command the day or the day commands you. There are decisions waiting, opportunities watching, miracles hovering, but they will not activate until you do your part. This is not optional. This is not a suggestion. This is a spiritual instruction. If you fail to act, you forfeit what belongs to you. But if you move now, if you align your words, your mind, and your spirit, then everything waiting for you must obey. So hear me clearly. What you do immediately when you wake up will decide the outcome of everything connected to your name. Today, you cannot afford to hesitate. You must act now. The moment your eyes open is the moment the world begins negotiating for your attention and your authority. And if you do not speak first, something else will speak for you. Every morning is a battleground disguised as routine. And while most people wake up casually, destiny is watching to see who will take ownership of the day and who will surrender their power before their feet even touch the floor. You must not wait for sunlight. You must not wait for the motivation. You must not wait for anything external to validate what heaven already declared about you long before you were formed. Every morning the universe stands still for a moment, waiting to see what you will decree, because the atmosphere responds to your first words. There is power in the early hour, because it is the only moment in time when nothing has yet been planted in your mindset. No conversation has contaminated your thoughts. No distraction has redirected your focus. So the question is not whether the day will speak, but whether you will speak first. Because when you do not command your day, the day begins to command you. And when the day commands you, it dictates your emotions. It decides your priorities. It determines what you feel and how you move. It begins to push you instead of you pulling it toward the life you were destined to live. Authority is not simply a spiritual concept. It is a lifestyle. And authority begins with the language you release when your spirit is still fresh from the dream realm. The first seconds upon waking are the most prophetic space in your timeline. This is the doorway between what you saw in your sleep and what you will manifest in your reality. And if you do not legislate your day, the enemy will legislate it for you, because the unseen realm does not respect silence. Silence is interpreted as surrender. Silence is an open invitation for something else to set the agenda. So you must speak, you must articulate, you must decree, and you must choose the atmosphere before the atmosphere chooses you. Speak to your body, speak to your finances, speak to your mind, speak to your health, speak to your destiny. Remind every cell, every thought, every plan that you are in command, and that nothing begins its assignment until you authorize it. You are not waking up into a neutral environment. You are waking up into a war zone of thoughts, voices, doubts, possibilities, and distractions. But you are not to enter silently. You are to enter as a ruler, because when rulers speak, creation listens. The day is not simply hours on a clock. It is a spiritual ecosystem with seeds waiting for commands. And if you do not sow words intentionally, weeds will grow automatically. Time never remains empty. Something will always fill it, either purpose or chaos, either discipline or distraction, either intention or interference. That is why you must speak, you must command, you must choose your posture before the world attempts to shape it. Many people lose their day in the first 5 minutes because they reach for the phone before they reach for purpose. They reach for messages before they reach for meaning. They scroll before they speak. And by the time they attempt to regain control, the day has already been hijacked by the agenda of others, but not you, not anymore. You must rise with the consciousness that the morning waits for your voice, and your voice contains blueprints for everything that must obey. Your life is not random, and neither is your schedule. Your morning is your throne room, and every decree you make becomes a spiritual order that heaven and earth must process. When you speak with authority, heaven aligns. resources, and hell loses territory. When you speak indecisively, heaven remains silent and hell proceeds aggressively. You must speak with direction, because the morning is when you plant the software of your destiny into the operating system of time. And once that code is written, everything in your day will run according to that program. Speak peace, and peace begins to search for you. Speak increase, and opportunities begin moving toward your name. Speak focus, and distractions lose their grip. Speak protection, and danger loses access. Speak clarity, and confusion dissolves. Your day is waiting for your command, and it is illegal for a ruler to step into territory without declaring ownership before leaving your bed. Stretch your consciousness to the edges of the next 24 hours and decide what is permitted and what is forbidden. Decide what thoughts may stay and what thoughts must be expelled. Decide what energy is allowed and what energy must be evicted, because the day is not allowed to tell you who you are. You tell the day what version of you it must encounter. If you do not command your day, the world will pull you into its noise, into its demands, into its dramas, into its temptations, into its narratives, until you forget that you were born to lead, not follow. Every morning you are offered the chance to reset the spiritual climate around your life. And when you speak with authority, you are not simply making statements. You are setting laws. The morning is a courtroom, and your words are legislation. When you rise and declare what must happen, you are serving notice to every visible and invisible force that your life cannot be manipulated without consequence. Command your day before doubt can command your thoughts. Command your day before worry can command your emotions. Command your day before fear can command your decisions, because what you do not command, you will eventually serve. Your destiny is too expensive to be passive. Your calling is too significant to be silent. Your assignment is too urgent to wake up casually. Every morning is a supernatural gate, and when you step through it with authority, you carry the weight of dominion into every conversation, every decision, every moment. Your day does not start when you leave the house. Your day starts when you open your mouth and decree who you are, what you allow, and what must obey your presence. You are not reacting to life. You are architecting it. You are not waiting for favor. You are activating it. You are not begging for breakthrough. You are announcing it. Command your day before the world tries to tame your potential. Command your day before circumstances attempt to intimidate your faith. Command your day before negative thoughts attempt to negotiate with your destiny. Command your day until your spirit stands taller than your fears. Command your day until your instructions echo through realms that were planning resistance. Command your day until every hour knows it must submit to your purpose, because nothing in your world has the right to exist without your permission. The day is not your supervisor, it is your servant. But servants only move when spoken to. Lift your voice and shape the invisible every morning, because your authority is not optional, it is your responsibility. Command your day, and everything connected to your name will fall in line. Your mind is the control tower of your destiny, and if it is not aligned with the assignment on your life, the day will move, but purpose will not. Your mind is the gate through which both heaven and hell negotiate access to your reality. Every morning when you wake up, there is a spiritual dialogue taking place over what thoughts will govern your decisions, what beliefs will shape your movements, what memories will dictate your emotions, and what expectations will frame your outcomes. The mind is not a passive arena, it is an active war field, and if you do not intentionally align it with divine purpose, it will default to old programming conditioned by fear, trauma, doubt, and limitation. The enemy does not need to destroy your life if he can infiltrate your thinking. Because if your thinking collapses, everything built upon it crumbles silently. The greatest battles of purpose are not fought in public. They are fought in the privacy of your thoughts. Your greatest victories will never be seen by crowds. They will be one inside the invisible realm of your mindset when no one else is watching. Alignment is not simply positive thinking. Alignment is divine synchronization. It is the process of allowing heaven's blueprint to override every counterfeit belief that has ever tried to convince you that you are ordinary. Alignment is when you deliberately reject every thought that contradicts the calling on your life and replace it with truth that empowers you to move as the person you were created to be, not the person you were conditioned to feel like being. Your mind must be trained like an athlete, disciplined like a soldier, and guarded like a treasury, because the thoughts you entertain shape the instructions you obey. Your life will always move in the direction of your bow, dominant thoughts. And if your thoughts are not aligned, your actions will wander. Your assignment is not accidental. It was written before you took your first breath, and your mind must be renovated until it becomes a suitable container for divine instruction. You cannot carry purpose with a mind full of distractions. You cannot hear divine strategy with a mind cluttered by the noise of problems. You cannot see destiny with a vision clouded by past disappointments that still echo in your belief system. It is not that opportunities are missing, it is that misaligned thinking blinds people from seeing what is already within reach. Alignment requires intentional mental discipline. You cannot wake up and allow random thoughts to roam freely in the corridors of your mind. You cannot must interrogate every thought that enters you, must challenge every voice that speaks internally. You must evaluate every internal statement and ask, does this thought agree with who I am becoming, or does it align with who I used to be? Does this thought reinforce my authority or fuel my insecurity? Does this thought align me with destiny or trap me in stagnation? Your mind must become a gate that filters everything through the lens of divine identity, because the enemy cannot curse what God has blessed, but he can convince a blessed person to think cursed thoughts, and a cursed mindset produces cursed outcomes even in a blessed environment. Alignment is spiritual warfare. Your mind is a nation, and every belief is a by law. If your mind is filled with laws of doubt, you will live like a prisoner. If your mind is filled with laws of destiny, you will live like a ruler. Everything starts internally before it manifests externally. If you do not control what happens within, you will always be controlled by what happens around you. Alignment requires inner regulation. You cannot afford mental laziness. Your thoughts are seeds, and each one produces a harvest in your behavior. The reason some people feel stuck is not because God has not spoken, but because misaligned thinking keeps blocking the manifestation of what was spoken. God may release instructions, but if your mind is not prepared, you will reject what you prayed for because it will not look familiar to the system of thinking you have built. Your assignment requires a mind that can receive prophetic instruction, interpret it correctly, and execute without hesitation. You cannot step into leadership with a follower mentality. You cannot walk into abundance with survival thinking. You cannot steward divine influence with the mindset of someone who still feels disqualified. Alignment means detoxing your mind from old narratives that were planted by broken people and painful experiences, and replacing them with truth that reinforces heaven's perspective about your identity. Your mind must be trained to think on purpose, not by accident. Alignment is internal obedience to divine order before external obedience becomes lifestyle. Your asapatime actions can only obey what your mind agrees with. This is why many people declare things with their mouth while their mind silently resists, believing that anything will change. Alignment means teaching your mind to believe what your spirit already knows. You are not trying to become powerful. You already are. You are not trying to become chosen. You already are. You are not trying to become enough. You already are. But your mind must be disciplined to stop arguing with your spirit Your mind must submit to calling. Your assignment requires clarity, and clarity requires mental strength, because destiny does not shout, it whispers. And if your mind is too loud with worry, fear, or busyness, you will miss the whisper. Alignment means waking up and deciding that the first thing that enters your mind must agree with heaven's narrative about you. You must not allow fear-based thoughts to be the first voice you hear. You must not let self-doubt be the first thought that greets you. You must not let depression negotiate your mood before you declare your authority. Your mind must be trained to bow before purpose every day. This is why successful people do not randomly think. They strategically think. They do not hope their thoughts behave. They train them. Repetition creates alignment. Meditation reinforces alignment. Speaking truth rewires alignment. Your assignment is too great to be managed with casual thoughts. You must curate your internal environment like royalty curates a kingdom. Your mind is the throne room of your identity, and whoever sits on that throne governs your decisions. Many wake up and let anxiety sit there. Many let overthinking sit there. Many let memories of rejection sit there and then wonder why their actions serve fear more than faith. Alignment requires dethroning every thought that exalts itself above what heaven has spoken and replacing it with truth that upgrades your fast. Internal reality. You must think intentionally until your thoughts prophesy your future instead of replaying your past. You must think with the consciousness that your mind is the architect of your actions, and your actions are the building blocks of your destiny. And if the architect is not aligned, the building will collapse. Alignment is a daily discipline. It is not something you do once. It is something you must practice every morning before stepping into the day. Because if you do not align, the world will attempt to assign you an identity that does not match your calling, and misalignment always produces delay, confusion, and wasted energy. Alignment requires mental authority over internal chaos. And when your mind aligns with divine assignment, your life stops reacting and starts directing. Your mind is the first battlefield of purpose and the last frontier of freedom. And if you conquer it, everything else must obey. Your words are not sounds. They are spiritual instruments that legislate reality. Every time you speak, you build or break, you bless or bind, you authorize or you abort. Nothing in your life moves without a word, and nothing in the unseen realm responds to silence. Creation itself was not formed by effort. It was formed by speech. God did not push mountains into place or carve rivers with his hands. He released words, and words did the work. That is the blueprint for authority. You were designed to operate through declaration, not reaction. But most people have been conditioned to speak like victims instead of rulers. They describe what they see instead of commanding what must become. And when you describe chaos instead of declaring order, you empower the very atmosphere you are trying to escape. Your words are not commentary, they are commands. And every time you speak, you are either reinforcing the throne of your destiny or the throne of your defeat. When you wake up, you must not speak casually. Every sentence is a seed, and every seed becomes a harvest that you will eventually live inside. Your speech today becomes your environment tomorrow. This is why prophecy matters. It is not emotional inspiration. It is spiritual legislation. It is heaven speaking through you into the earth realm until your circumstances are forced into alignment. Your words carry weight because they are not merely formed in your mouth. They are born into your spirit. The authority of a word depends on the consciousness of the speaker. If you speak as someone begging for permission, your words will have no impact. But when you speak as someone who knows they are authorized by heaven, your words travel like spiritual law, and creation must comply. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that people do not speak, but that they speak without intention. They speak empty words. They speak reactive words. They speak negative words and wonder why. Their life mirrors their vocabulary. You cannot speak small and expect to live large. You cannot speak fear and expect to walk in faith. You cannot speak confusion and expect to experience clarity. Everything around you is listening. Your Sales are listening. Your finances are listening. Your opportunities are listening. Your relationships are listening. Even the forces resisting you are listening to see if you understand your authority. Your words create boundaries in the spirit realm. Every sentence draws invisible lines around your life, telling darkness how far it can go, telling doubt where it must stop, telling fear it has no permission to occupy your thoughts. When you fail to speak, you leave your life unguarded and ungoverned. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is surrender. It is the decision to let circumstances speak louder than your calling. When you speak intentionally, you do not just say things, you send things. Your words become agents sent into your future to build roads of possibility and pathways of provision. The reason declarations matter is because sound precedes manifestation. Every miracle Jesus performed was preceded by a verbal command. Every healing began with a spoken directive. Even deliverance was activated by instruction, not emotion. Transformation happens when sound and faith collide in the invisible realm. Some people pray silently, but live verbally defeated. They cancel what they prayed with what they say. You cannot pray for abundance and then speak lack. You cannot pray for breakthrough and then agree with delay. You cannot declare favor in private and then confess failure in public. Your words must match your prayer for power to manifest. Intentional words are strategic. They are not random. They do not fill silence. They fill space. They are targeted. They are precise. They do not beg. They establish. Words are not meant to explain your reality. They are meant to recreate it. This is why affirmations work only when they are spoken from spiritual authority, not mindless repetition. Speaking is not self-help. Speaking is spiritual warfare. When you speak, you confront the invisible forces attempting to govern your atmosphere. When you speak, you remind the unseen realm that you remember who you are and what you carry. Even now, there are dormant promises waiting for the right sound to awaken them. There are blessings hovering above your life, waiting for authorization. There are opportunities circling your timeline, waiting for verbal release. Intentional words create frequency, and frequency attracts reality. Your voice becomes a magnet pulling into your life what matches its vibration. If you speak worry, you attract chaos. If you speak confidence, you attract opportunity. If you speak identity, you activate destiny. Every ruler governs through decree, and if you refuse to decree, you forfeit rulership. The tongue is the steering wheel of your life, and many people crash spiritually, not because destiny was denied, but because their words drove them into collision with their own unbelief. Your enemy studies your speech because he knows if he can manipulate your language, he can manipulate your life. He will send thoughts hoping you repeat them. He will send fear hoping you speak it. He will send discouragement hoping you echo it. He cannot create reality for you, so he attempts to convince you to use your own authority against yourself. Careless words are spiritual agreements spoken without awareness, and once spoken, they give legal access to forces that have been waiting for you to say something foolish. Authority must be activated daily. You do not speak once and hope it lasts forever. You must legislate consistently because your voice must remain louder than the voices trying to infiltrate your thoughts. Authority is not a feeling, it is a decision. You do not speak boldly because you feel powerful. You speak boldly because you are powerful. And when you speak from authority, your words travel with weight through realms beyond what you can see. Intentional speech is not emotional shouting. It is conscious creation. You must decide what every day hears from you. You must decide what every situation hears from you. You must decide what your atmosphere believes about you. Your life is not waiting for circumstances to change. It is waiting for you to speak differently. You must stop narrating your pain and start declaring your prophecy. Stop repeating what hurt you and start speaking what heals you. Stop announcing what is missing and start announcing what is coming. Your words must be ahead of your life, not behind it. You cannot report the present. You must announce the future until the presence submits. You are not called to describe the storm. You are called to command the storm. Words born in authority change the environment before the environment changes you. When you speak intentionally, you are not trying to convince the world, you are instructing it. Nobody has to believe you. Nobody has to agree. The moment your words leave your mouth with spiritual alignment, heaven hears, earth responds, darkness trembles, and reality recalibrates. Not because you said something nice, but because you said something necessary with authority. Your words are your signature in the spirit realm. Every sentence is a contract. What you consistently say is what you legally authorize to exist in your life. So speak like a ruler. Speak like a builder. Speak like someone who knows creation is listening. Your words are keys, and doors are waiting for the right one to unlock. They are arrows, and obstacles are waiting to be pierced. They are seeds and harvest. Some are waiting to grow. Everything you see today was once spoken by someone yesterday, and everything you will see tomorrow depends on what you speak intentionally today. Before you step into the world, you must understand that you are not simply entering a physical environment. You are entering an atmosphere full of invisible currents, thoughts, emotions, frequencies, agendas, and spiritual activities that are constantly competing to influence your mind, your decisions, and your destiny. Most people wake up and walk into the day unprotected, unaware that they are stepping into a battlefield where unseen forces have already taken their positions. But those who walk in purpose understand that atmosphere is never neutral. It either works for you or against you. It either lifts you or drains you. It either activates your calling or sabotages your progress. Nothing in your life remains unaffected by the atmosphere you allow around you, because atmosphere is the invisible climate that shapes your internal temperature, your mood, your thoughts, your creativity, and even your level of faith. You must protect your atmosphere like your life depends on it, because in truth it does. Your atmosphere is either fertile ground for destiny or contaminated soil where purpose suffocates instructions from heaven. Land in your spirit every day. But if your atmosphere is filled with noise, negativity, confusion, or emotional chaos, those instructions cannot take root. Your atmosphere becomes the interpreter of God's voice. And if the atmosphere is toxic, then even divine revelation sounds distorted. This is why the enemy does not always attack you directly. Sometimes he attacks your environment, the people around you, the voices near you, the energy that enters your space. Because if he can corrupt the atmosphere, he does not need to touch your destiny. He can make sure you never hear the clarity needed to walk into it. When you wake up, you are not just deciding what clothes to wear. You are deciding what realm you are stepping into. You must not enter the day spiritually naked. You must clothe yourself in intentional protection. You must speak over your environment before your environment speaks to you. Because if you do not establish boundaries, something else will decide what enters your space. Your mind is sensitive to atmosphere. Your spirit is sensitive to atmosphere. Your productivity is sensitive to atmosphere. Even your physical energy is either strengthened or drained, depending on what is around you. Your calling is too expensive to expose to careless environments. You cannot allow just any sound, any voice, any attitude, any emotion, any presence to roam freely around your spirit. Because spirits travel through atmosphere. And if you do not guard that realm, you will carry things that were never assigned to you and wonder why you feel heavy for no reason. Atmosphere is transferred by proximity. Every room carries a climate. Every conversation carries a frequency. Every person carries an atmosphere. And you must learn to sense what your spirit is absorbing, even when your mind cannot explain it. Sometimes fatigue is not tiredness, it is spiritual contamination. Sometimes confusion is not indecision, it is atmospheric interference. Sometimes emotional heaviness is not yours. It is the result of unprotected exposure to invisible battles happening in another person's life. Spiritual warfare is not Always demons attacking loudly. Sometimes it is simply the slow suffocation of purpose by an atmosphere that has not been guarded. Your environment must match your assignment. You cannot grow in soil that resists your identity. Protect your space like a sacred temple, because that is what it is. Your atmosphere is the incubator of your next breakthrough, and incubators must be controlled tightly. If the temperature is wrong, even a healthy seed dies. Atmosphere protects potential. And the enemy knows that if he cannot kill you, he will try to corrupt what surrounds you. Your peace is a weapon, and your environment must protect it. You must aggressively remove anything that threatens that peace, whether it is a habit, a voice, a distraction, or a person. You are not obligated to allow everything that wants access to actually enter your atmosphere. Discernment is your shield. It tells you what is safe, what is threatening, what is draining, what is a sign. Not everyone who smiles carries peace. Not every opportunity carries alignment. Not every invitation carries safety. You must evaluate every connection based on what it does to your atmosphere. Does it elevate your spirit or agitate your soul? Does it activate your vision or suffocate your creativity? Does it feed your faith or drain your hope? Whatever does not protect your atmosphere must be denied access. You must learn to say no without apology, because protecting your atmosphere is not arrogance, it is stewardship. You are responsible for the climate around your calling, because God will not speak clearly in a contaminated environment. Protect your home, protect your room, protect your mind, protect your timeline, protect your morning routine, protect your emotional gates, protect your sensory gates, protect your conversations, protect your associations, protect your phone from becoming a portal for atmospheric pollution. Everything you allow in becomes something you must later filter out. Prevention is easier than detox. Your thinking patterns are shaped by the environment you repeatedly expose yourself to. You cannot listen to chaos and expect to think clearly. You cannot consume negativity and expect to believe boldly. You cannot entertain doubt and expect to speak with authority. Atmosphere is the soil, and your destiny is the seed. If the soil is poisoned, the seed cannot flourish, even if it is divinely ordained. This is why some people feel spiritually stuck. They are not broken. They are misplanted. Destiny cannot grow in polluted conditions, and purpose cannot breathe in toxic air. Before you step out of your house, you must seal your atmosphere with intentional words. You must declare that no negative influence has legal entry. You must command peace to reign. You must forbid confusion. You must instruct the unseen realm that your environment is under divine jurisdiction. Speak to your atmosphere the same way a ruler speaks to their territory every time you walk into a room. Carry your climate with you. Do not adjust to the atmosphere. Dominate it, shift it, govern it, because you carry authority. You are not sent to be controlled by atmospheres. You are sent to control them. This is why some people feel intimidated when you arrive, because their atmosphere cannot overtake yours. Your presence announces a new spiritual frequency. Even when you say nothing, you must cultivate this intentionality every day before stepping into the assignment of the day. Protect your atmosphere, because the wrong climate can delay what heaven already released, and the right climate can accelerate what once seemed impossible. Atmosphere is spiritual technology. It is the Wi-Fi of the invisible realm. It determines the strength of your connection to divine instruction. Protect it, and everything in your life will begin to obey that order.